They're sisters, the big sister who thinks she's very brave, and little Louise who follows her everywhere and isn't quite as brave. And they have a little game they play sometime. You may have played it. I played it when I was little. You walk down the sidewalk, and where those cracks, not really cracks, they're lines in the sidewalk. And we used to say, don't step on a crack, you'll break your mother's back. But it never happened. It was just fun. And you watch for that, and watch for Louise. She does some hide and seek, so watch for her. The name of the story is Sheila Ray the Brave by Kevin Henkes. It doesn't give someone who drew the pictures, so maybe he did both, wrote the story and drew the pictures. I have trouble with my books sometimes. Sheila Ray wasn't afraid of anything. Look at her kissing the spider. She wasn't afraid of the dark. She wasn't afraid of thunder and lightning. And she wasn't afraid of the big black dog that lived at the end of the block. At dinner, Sheila Ray made believe that the cherries in her fruit were the eyes of bears, and she ate 5 of them. At school, Sheila Ray wasn't afraid of the principal. She giggled when you walked down. And when her classmate Wendell stole a jump rope during recess, Sheila Ray tied him up and kept him that way till the bell rang. I'm very brave, Sheila Ray said, patting herself on the back. Sheila Ray stepped on every crack in the sidewalk. I'm not breaking anybody's back, she said. When her sister Louise said, there's a monster in the closet, Sheila Ray got her bat and attacked it. And she rode her bicycle, no hands, with her eyes closed. Yay, yay, Sheila Ray. Her friends all yelled and clapped their hands. One day, Sheila Ray decided to walk home from school a new way. Louise was afraid to. You're too brave for me, Louise said. You're always such a scary cat, Sheila Ray called. Am not, whispered Louise. Sheila Ray started off, she thought, without Louise, skipping and singing. I am brave, I am fearless, I am brave, I am fearless. And she stepped on every crack. See, I'm not breaking anybody's back. And she walked backwards with her eyes closed, and she thought she was all alone. And she growled at the stray dogs, and she bared her teeth at the stray cats, and she pretended the trees were evil creatures, and she climbed up them, and she broke off their fingers. Snap, snap, snap. And she still thought she was alone. And she walked, and she turned corners, and she crossed streets, and it suddenly occurred to Sheila Ray that nothing looked familiar. She didn't seem to see anything she knew. And Sheila Ray heard frightening noises. It suddenly occurred to Sheila Ray that nothing looked familiar. Sheila Ray heard frightening noises. They sounded worse than thunder. She thought horrible thoughts. They were worse than anything she had ever imagined. I am brave, she tried to convince herself. I am fearless. The sounds became more frightening. The thoughts became more horrible. And Sheila Ray sat down on a rock and cried. Help, she sniffed. She thought of her mother and her father and Louise. And she was all alone, she thought. voice said as she came down from the tree. "Louise!" Sheila Ray hugged her sister. "We're lost," Sheila Ray said. "No, we're not," said Louise. "I know the way home. Follow me." And off they went. And now Louise stepped on every crack and didn't worry about anybody's back. She walked backwards with her eyes closed. She growled at the stray dogs, and she bared her teeth at the stray cats. And she pretended that the trees were evil creatures, and she jumped up and broke their fingers off. Snap, snap, snap. And Sheila Ray walked quietly behind her. And they walked and they walked, and they crossed streets, and they turned corners. And soon their house could be seen between the trees. And Sheila Ray grabbed Louise and dashed up the street. And when they reached their own yard and the gate was closed behind them, Sheila Ray said, "Louise, you are brave. You are fearless." "We both are," said Louise, and they walked backwards into the house with their eyes closed. And that, my friend, is the end.